They've heard the buzz. They've felt the goodwill that we've built through this community by behaving the way that we have, by giving away as much as we have. And so the inbound request for a salesperson to contact them for business is phenomenally high. And then these methodologies that we have for download come in quite rapidly. That's also up and to the right, another sign of success. And that's given to our inside sales team to convert into meetings and emails and deals.
You have to remember the market's qualifying you, you're not qualifying your prospects. And I think one of the key metrics you go to look at is the abandonment rate on your forms. We had a client that had 97% abandonment rate on their form. But we've got to have leads. I said, well, you'll get leads, but give it a little time. So you send out a white paper, without requiring registration, but what you get back is an RFP.
We noticed that on search marketing, and my prior company, that runs a business each year, and it was a similar related market, but not the same target audience. So I thought, well, let's try search marketing, and it's getting us traffic and leads, but they're taking an in run around that form.
Yeah.
So they're coming in from the search term, clicking through the website, doing what they need to do there, and then registering for something, but they won't touch that search marketing later.
Yes.
Follow up on that question. How has the growth rate as a percentage been, the percent of business coming through the web, through search engines versus your other non-social media marketing approaches?
So last quarter, marketing contributed revenue would be at 40%. So 40% of the business we did last quarter in a really tough recession was business generated from marketing leads. And I can tell you that I can't tell you the exact number, but a very high percentage of that was all web, social media, LinkedIn, because we've done very few other types of programs. The only other contribution to that would have been an event. But last year, the breakdown was 75% web, unsolicited web versus 25% other, and events were part of that other.
What are the other 60%? You said 40% was marketing.
So that was direct sales.
Direct sales, just outbound inside sales.
Yeah, sales relationships. And I attended a Serious Decisions summit a few years ago, and they said that your best performing companies, the average is about 35% of revenue comes from marketing. So we're a little above that. And that's B2B.
The peak there that is really helpful was talking about seeing communities, drive attention to your brand. And that was another response I was going to have for communities that, the fact that I may not care that much about a link if it's effective in driving traffic. The first thing I want to see is customers, new customers coming in, link development, secondary. Really you can expect to see that eventually as satisfaction and that sort of thing, providing with this
Like I said, one thing on that real quick. One of the things that, especially in the social media world, is everybody say, well, I need more followers, and that seems to be the big topic. And it really boils down to, it has nothing to do with followers, it's about listeners. It's about people who are listening to what you're saying, and it all comes down to conversion. You really have to focus on what they want to hear, and how do you convert that person to understand what you're talking about and get them to come in. So you're talking about the abandonment rate. So it doesn't matter what I post, or people follow me, it's how many people actually click on the content that I post and that I generate, and what do I drive them back to, and how do you measure that? So that's your medium for communication. When it comes, we talk about a social medium versus social media. And so social is just a medium of communication. And so how do you tie that into your global marketing mix? But you need to use the fact to really understand the measurement aspect. Again, it all boils down to the conversion aspect. How do you use that as a medium and convert them back into an actual prospect?
more questions? Sir?
Yes. There are, everyone's using these URL compression services. And I've been wondering, how does that all affect, or how should it recalibrate your page rank? Google is how many other people link to this page that they themselves decided that it's worth looking at. And that kind of dovetails a little bit in with my URL, but it seems like there's a tremendous opportunity out there for the right player if we're not able to jump into that and figure out how to set the page rank in a possible way. Direction.
Google certainly started indexing Twitter, and so you see it in your results.
But indexing these follow through, let's discover what this compressed URL looked at and add the page rank to that.
I'd be surprised if it doesn't, it's not included in some fashion. I don't know if anybody would ever really know. But I would be surprised if it was not included in this problem.
Just how they value the links, like now we're talking about video, I mean, there's nothing intrinsically wonderful about a video that's got tags on it, but it's showing up highly in the results. And Google seems to value content very highly, so, video content is an important thing that you need to be including on your site, even if it's going to be particularly powerful in things like customer testimonials. They just blow away competition. I mean, they don't even get considered.
Question for Pam, you got these complex products, probably with pretty thick username lists.
We've actually addressed that. It's a very easy to use product, whereas our competition is not, but that would be a wise assumption to make.
So, given that you sell kind of a standalone product, very complex, appeals to a particular niche of network engineering, how do you go about generating community participation? You talked about generating community, a lot
Right.
of you mentioned generating community. I'd love to hear more about how you guys are actually doing that.
That's very challenging because we have some unique cultural aspects to our audience is global already. We went direct to China and India, right off the bat. We didn't build in the U.S. and then go elsewhere. So we've got a very global community. I would suggest, so was it Forrester that came out with the breakdown of participants versus lurkers and that whole thing? I would suggest that we have a far higher percentage of lurkers, but you know what? I'm cool with that because guess what? I believe they're the most valuable people in our community. They may not be self-promoting, they may not be engaging as much as one would like, but they're listening, they're reading, they're acting behind the scenes. So, you don't see a big thriving debate going on for most of our posts, and I'm not using that as a measurement because of the nature of our target audience. I know them pretty well. I've seen them in a live interaction, and they don't interact there either. But once we do engage with them on a business relationship, we then begin to find out how important that social media relationship was before. And the one-on-one by Twitter is so wonderful for that as well. So the people that might not comment on a blog post and engage in a lively debate will have a direct message conversation with you on Twitter. They will certainly opt into your RSS feed and things like that. So I love the lurkers. They're my favorite guys.
You can't have that valuable mass of lurkers unless you also have a subset who are creating a critical mass of new different content, the participants.
Well,
So you gotta have participants, right? The Web 2.0 making folks are willing to say, hey, that section of the manual isn't right. Let me tell the world what you really need to do with that part of your procedure.
right. And we have a little bit of that using the ecosystem, our contacts in the industry that also have their own communities and have self-interest, and we do work together on content like that. But we've actually come up with a really unique way of generating content and community for our site that we're tipping off tomorrow. Is anyone in the room familiar with HARO, Help a Reporter Out? So we are now using